All right, everyone, welcome. It's Friday, and you made it to another edition of the Cyber Social Hub's Hubcast. Basically, as I've said in the past, this is our version of quote-unquote training. That's what you tell your boss, and it's really just a chance for you to get out of work for about an hour on Friday. That's really what we do. Just have a lot of fun and hopefully spread some information and knowledge of areas that you're not all that familiar with. And people have always asked me in the past, well, what do you do really on a hubcast? Because you don't call it a podcast, if you notice. It's a hubcast. And I said, well, you know those like late night talk shows and stuff that you see? It's kind of like that, but ours is really bad and during the day. So that's really what it is. Ours is the really bad talk show during the middle of the day. So that's kind of what we do here and hang out. But if you're not a member, let me explain a little bit what Cyber Social Hub is. If you're just a first-time YouTube wanderer and you found us, number one, congrats. I don't know how you did it, but you did. So that's awesome. What Cyber Social Hub is it's an online community of digital investigators, cybersecurity professionals, e-discovery folks, anyone who needs to know about digital evidence information that is used to find out the why in something. And think of us like a group from the other social media networks. I don't want to name them, but we don't sell your information. You're nice and safe in there. You don't have to worry about it. And the reason I can say that with confidence, I worked law enforcement for 15 years. And that's what I did for law enforcement for 15 years. And then went to the private sector, loved it so much, continued the digital investigation path there. And then after that private sector, which I guess technically I'm still in the private sector, we started this awesome little community up. And man, it's just been a blast. I love having the regulars come in here on a Friday, and we just have a lot of fun talking back and forth and making it a little bit more relaxed. And speaking of relaxed, we have some new platforms that we're going to be testing out. Not here. I'm not going to mess with the Hubcast because we like the way everything's run. We run it this way for a very long time. But we're going to try to start some new things that are coming out. And give a thumbs up if you guys are interested in what I'm about to say here. If not, is there a thumbs down? There might be. Don't do thumbs down. But it hurts my ratings on YouTube. But what we're going to do is like these one-day symposiums where we're going to have a few awesome speakers in and just quick one day, probably not even a full day, just a few hours of just boom, boom, boom. And they're going to teach you something just absolutely amazing that's going to help you out in your careers and make your life a little bit easier in, out, again. And we're going to make those, again, free as best that I can for you. So if you're interested in something like that, either drop comments if you're on YouTube, whatever. So we do broadcast out to I think we're on 4 networks today. Everything's working and playing nice together. Sometimes all the social networks don't play together. So simultaneous, we're broadcasting out to YouTube, which is our home channel. And the reason is because they're free. They don't charge me anything. No, is because we got full two-way communication. So if you're chatting with us on YouTube, we see it right away here, even though the broadcast is delayed. We also broadcast out to Facebook, which I think the chat is two-way there as well. We don't get many chats from Facebook. I don't blame you guys for not hanging out there so much. But now we can also see X, aka Twitter. I'll probably still always call it Twitter. And we can see those chats. At least I saw my very first one when we did this. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I saw it come in. I was like, holy crap, when did we add that support? That's great. Anyway, but if you're on LinkedIn, sorry, we can't see your chats at all. You got to go talk to Microsoft about that. They lock down their API and say, no, can't do it. So anyway, that's who we're all broadcasting out to. But if you want to engage in the conversation with our guests and just have fun and answer questions, engage, then come on over to the YouTube channel real quick. And I'll give you guys a few seconds to do that. All right, time's up. No, you can come all throughout the show. And if you're seeing this after the fact, if you're not watching it while it's being broadcast live, we try to go live at 2 p.m. Eastern every Friday. We try. We've been doing pretty good so far this year. I have a New Year's resolution like every year, and I always fall off the wagon for a little bit. It just gets busy, and everyone else gets busy. It's hard to get quality guests on the show. A couple of other things. What else do we got coming up, Megan? I'm forgetting something that I'm sure I was supposed to say, and I don't remember what it is. But we have, I think our trivia is still ongoing in Cyber Social Hub right now. So if you're not logged into Cyber Social Hub, just cybersocialhub.com. And trivia, there's all kinds of awesome, fun prizes. It's just an online trivia app. We're going to be doing something of that. Speaking of that, coming up here real soon, we're going to talk more about this topic once I bring my guest on. Oh yeah. So yeah, May Trivia is still live according to Megan here. Let me pop this up on the screen. So May Trivia is still live, and we got a bunch of webinars coming up in the next few months. I mean, a bunch. And how much do they cost you? Nothing. It's free for you guys. So we'll just sign up, and hopefully you can learn something amazing. We got always a great crew that comes on, and let me move this up here a little bit. There we go. And gives away some phenomenal information to you guys for free. And that's always my goal. I came from a really small agency and department, had zero budget. So again, I'm trying to give everything for free as best that I can to everything. I don't think you guys have ever had to pay anything. But speaking of that, we're also going to be at Techno Security. We're going to talk about that here a little bit more too. That's coming up here in just a couple weeks. I can't believe it already. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We have a mini, and you guys saw the show a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how many weeks ago. Jen was on from Techno Security. We got some pretty cool stuff planned. We've got a digital scavenger hunt kind of planned out, where you have to go certain areas and get a question answered. It's not an obvious question. It's not like, hey, what color is the sky? You don't answer blue because the answer may be orange, believe it or not, because we're mixing it up, so you can't cheat. You have to actually go to the locations to find the proper answer. And man, I'll tell you right now, there are some awesome freaking prizes involved in this, and they're big prize packs. I'm stoked. We're still getting in all the prizes right now. I'm trying to organize that for you, so I don't want to give anything away as of yet. But it's awesome. But you do got to be at the show in order to play. But here's what I'm going to try to do: is try to get those people maybe come on and extend some of that love to you guys that can't make it down there, because I understand travel is sometimes pricey and no budgets and whatnot. But anyway, with that, I am finished rambling, and I'm going to bring up. I'm not going to call him old, but he's old. He's an old friend of mine, more importantly. But I'm going to pop him up on the stage here, and it's Bob O'Leary from Buying Lives. Bob, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Kevin. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I'm waiting for a rebuttal for the old comment. Come on.
I'll get there, but I did want to just point out that when you invited me to do this, you didn't say anything about really bad talk show.
Oh, so, I failed to do that.
Yeah, no, that was not mentioned at all.
We try not to tell the marketing folks at companies that that's what we're doing.
But that's what you explained that this was early on.
Yeah, it's we have a lot of fun. It's good times. We make fun. We learn a lot of things about people sometimes. Usually what we try to do is get a little dirt on our guest before they come on, but I didn't have to dig very hard for you, so I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. How long have we known each other, Bob? It's been...
Oh, man.
Couple years.
It's got to be 20 years, 22 maybe?
Yeah, something like that. I was a student in one of your classes that we actually had in Lima, Ohio.
Yep.
Lima Bean. Yep. Stands for... Do you ever know what Lima is an acronym for? Did I ever tell you that?
I believe it was Lost in the Middle of Ohio.
Yeah, it's close. Middle America. Yeah, Lost in Middle America is what it's an acronym for. Yeah, absolutely. And you were teaching what class? You were a triage. What were you teaching at that point? Man, I can't remember. I still have the dongle. It's probably back in that cabinet behind me.
I think I was teaching a basic course, a digital forensics analysis basic course.
Yeah.
Oh, come to think of it, no.
It was a dongle something. There was a...
Yep, there was it was the Advanced File Structure Analysis course, I think, through IDFSC. It was my wife's company.
Okay.
Because we were able to do that for free. I'm pretty sure that was the course we came out there to do.
Yeah, if it was free, that's the reason you were in Lima. So yeah. we didn't have a budget.
Yeah, she had a company and was able to secure grant funding to travel all over the U.S. and do two courses. One was digital evidence collection, a 1-day course, and a 3-day course in advanced file structure analysis.
Yep, I remember. I remember sitting in the class. I think we were at the one of the Ford Training Center, because Ford always have a big assembly plant there, or no, it's an engine plant there in Ford. And I think they were gracious enough to let us use that space out there that day. That was a long time ago. I still got a memory. Yes.
There you go, buddy.
I can't remember anything about the class, but I remember where it was, and the fact that you were teaching. That's where I first met you. And
well, it's not surprising you didn't remember much about it, because, as I recall, you weren't even paying attention. So
no, I was just there for the paycheck, you know. Good stuff, man. I can't believe that was that long ago. Now at this point, it's probably been. It may have been longer than that. No, it's probably been about 20-some years. Yeah, because I got started in forensics in about 2000-ish, 2002-ish. So that puts it right on par. Yep.
Yeah.
Schmolies.
Yeah.
Schmolies. You're pretty active in the forensic community, though. You've been not to saying you've been around, but I'm saying you've been active in the forensics.
Yeah, I like to think
in a good way.
Seasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started in the field in 1996 officially. Ironically, I'd worked narcotics undercover at the New Jersey State Police for about 9 years. And prior to that, I was general road duty trooper for 3.5. But it turned out everybody that we arrested had a clone phone, a burner phone, or a stolen phone. And every cop I knew just put it in the evidence envelope, put it on a box, put it on the shelf, inventoried it, but that was about it.
Right.
And luckily, all 3 of the cellular carriers had headquarters in New Jersey, and I got them to teach me how to dump the data out of the phone and give me a blanket consent to search based on theft of services. So every charge we brought for criminal cases, we also added on a theft of service, and the victim was the cellular carrier. So we were able to start dumping those numbers and the text messages out of them, and could start building cases by linking numbers across otherwise disparate suspects.
Yeah.
And we started building cases. It worked out great. The auto theft task force happened to be next door to us, and they saw we were putting out preliminary reports multiple a day. Most units were putting them out, every couple of days or one a week, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They came over and said, how are you generating so much work? So we explained to them, and they said, we get phones all the time. So we started dumping them for them, and then for major crimes and arson. And so the state police, to its credit, decided they needed a dedicated technology investigations unit, and they designated me and one other detective to start it. He came out of the IT section. And as we started to look around for something to model it on, we found that there was no other statewide unit in the country. So we were kind of starting from scratch.
It's like, you're the new model.
Yeah, we did become the model for a lot of states that came in to see how we did it, what we did, and obviously improve on what they found. But we at least gave them a starting place.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What year did you end up leaving law enforcement?
Well, I spent 7 years in the technology crime investigation. I retired in 2002.
Okay.
And then went to work for the National Institute of Justice, which was the research and development arm of the Department of Justice. And I ran the Electronic Crime Technology Center for that. And in that, we were doing a lot of tool testing and analysis, wrote a lot of reports, a lot of the new and emerging tools that not only the ones that NIJ funded for development, but also ones that were privately funded but wanted an independent evaluation on.
Mm-hmm.
So we would write those reports, and I see that there's some of them still floating around out there.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
we also wrote the crime scene, the electronic crime scene guide, and the last publication we did was the policies and procedures manual for digital forensics labs.
Holy cow! You're a busy guy, because you're involved in IASIS too, if I recall, right?
I am. I've been a member of IASIS since about 1998. I've been an instructor, coach for not only at the conference but also for the CFCE certification process. As a matter of fact, I'm doing it again this year. Keep my skills up, and help
Nice.
candidates get through the process. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it's easier for some than others, man. It was pretty grueling. It was a pretty grueling process.
It's a grueling process, but I think it's really rewarding, and that's what I tell every one of the candidates that I coach through it. Stick with it, because it's a really good feeling you get when you accomplish that challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And you're still CFCE, now you said you did row coaching then.
Yeah.
Were you a row coach down there? Holy cow!
I was a row coach, and then I think it was the last year I was there. I was actually in charge of the room. So you were the guy that all the row coaches had to report into. So it's
a big room. We were just down there. What was that? A couple weeks ago now. We did the show from down there in Florida, and man, I always love those guys down there. Such a great crew. If anyone is considering advanced training or the basic training, go down. You're going to have a blast and meet a ton of awesome people in the field.
Yeah.
But I think the room was over 300 people this year, and that's what's funny is because I got to go in and talk. They put you up in front of the whole room, right? If you go down and hang out down there like I did, and they put you up in front of the whole room, give you a few minutes to talk, and they're still in COVID seating because it worked out so well. It gives you so much room because you get books. I mean, big books, right? Not just little books. They're big manuals. And it's one per table, essentially. One person per table, and they fill it up with all these manuals. It's like, holy crap. And it's just massive. I have a video I think I posted on our channels, our social channels, that you guys can go check out and get a real good idea how big that room is. It's massive.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I was about 2 years ago. I was down there and addressed the room, and my friend Zubin was the room coordinator. He was running the training coordinator.
Yep.
He introduced me and said, when I started, tablets were actually stone slabs that we chiseled into.
What year did you go through that training?
99.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely stone tablets.
1999, not 18. 19.
Right. I went through in 2007, so I was quite a few years behind you.
I was probably a coach by that time. I was probably on staff down there.
Where Stephen Mueller was a row coach down there, because I talked to him down. He wasn't our row coach, but he was a row coach when I went down through there.
Yeah.
It's funny because you meet some really cool people down there, and they stay with you throughout your career. Now, I've fallen out of contact with the guy who sat right next to me just over the last few years, but I met him in Florida at that training, and he actually ended up coming to my wedding here in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
He was from New Jersey. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I've made some lifelong friends through my between training and subsequent coaching, and it's a great organization, and the fact that everyone's a volunteer, it's just amazing how productive and how well run it is.
Yeah. I know. When I see we joke around an awful lot and have a lot of fun, and but I'll tell you what, guys, I'm gonna. This is probably the only time this is ever gonna happen. I'm gonna really prop Bob up. He's probably one of the best instructors. Talks common sense of how he explains things to you. Don't get used to this, Bob. It's not going to happen off. I'm just telling you.
Just waiting for the other show.
And man, if you get a chance to hear this man speak, I highly recommend it, because you guys Finalize now did a webinar with us. How long ago was that now? Was it
earlier this year? I think it was. But
I can't remember.
I've only been here about 7 months, so it had to be within the last 5.
Oh, they threw you right in early, didn't they? That's right. I remember that. That was great. And I was like, oh, I know Bob. He'll be fine. Bring him on. Bringing on, absolutely. And Megan, I hate to do this to you. I know you're in here listening somewhere. At least I hope you're paying attention. If you could get me the link and kick it to me in Slack, I'll post the link down to that webinar, Bob's Binalize's webinar. And I'll make sure you guys, I highly recommend, go check it out. A lot of great information in there. Now, we're going to talk about, I know the title of this is like acquisition, assessment, triage, and forensic timelines. Oh my, because I was trying to make a funny and I failed miserably at it. Kind of like the
Just by that much.
by, a little bit. And but tell people who aren't familiar with Binalize exactly kind of the problems that they help solve in the day-to-day job.
Well, probably one of the easier ways to explain it would be from my background when I left NIJ, when I was no longer working there because the funding got cut. I went into the private sector and I was director of professional services for incident response and digital forensics at Access Data. And what we found there in running teams and managers that were running their teams was utilization was always key. I mean, if you have consultants, analysts sitting around waiting for the next job to come in, like a fireman, you're not maximizing their utilization. Whereas if you get a job coming in and everybody's committed to a job, you don't have any personnel to assign to the new work coming in. So it was always a difficult balance to strike. And one of the things that really intrigued me about Binalize was the automated incident response portion of the tool. And what that means is whatever your perimeter detection tool is, whether it's an EDR, MDR, endpoint detection tool, a SIM, a SOAR, it's going to issue alerts. And that's generally how the incident responders get notified. Something happened, the perimeter detection tool notified them that there's something anomalous behavior, potential intrusion, malware. So they have to go look at it, analyze the alert, make a determination as to its severity, what they need to do as far as isolate the machine, take it offline, kill it altogether. That all takes time. And then frankly, if it's services you're running or it's a remote location, you have to make that decision. How are you going to get the data back into your lab? How are you going to analyze it? So whether it's a matter of sending somebody out there or getting somebody on site to pull the machine, image it, and ship you the image or upload it, that all takes time. But if you can do it remotely and automated, because the alert kicks off one of our acquisition or automated incident response, it pulls those artifacts in and you're able to do the analysis remotely. What you're able to do is start resolving that incident within 4 hours. You can make a determination as to its severity, determine how many machines are involved, isolate them remotely if you need to, sanitize them, pull the data off that is relevant to the investigation that will obviously continue on, but you've mitigated the incident in under 4 hours and allowed businesses continuity to continue. Business operations continue. Obviously, the business remains profitable because it's no downtime or minimal downtime, and you're able to get everything back in order. So it's that automated portion. The other thing that's really key to this that I really like too is the ability to triage one or every machine in the environment simultaneously.
Really?
So
simultaneous.
Exactly. So you have these consultants, and because they're much more efficient in the incident investigation portion, and they're able to resolve it and sanitize the system, they can now spend the remainder of their shift, their time, proactive threat hunting for their clients, for their various locations. So they can remotely triage or proactively threat hunt on those endpoints or assets that are in the environment to make a determination. Is there any advanced persistent threats out there? Is there any malware that's dormant? Is there anything associated with a scheduled task that hasn't kicked off yet? It's just sitting there waiting, for a low period, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Saturday morning early, times when there's less people working, less noticeable. They can, the attackers can get more, do more damage in that window of time. If they're proactively threat hunting and finding that before it can be exploited, it's that much better in protecting the network and the environment.
Man, that's pretty intense. When we're talking something like the average, examiner, how is the tool useful to them? And I know obviously what you said a lot pertains to, if you're in the corporate world, corporate environment type scenario. But do you think there's an application on maybe like an LE or a standard examiner side of the house for a tool like this?
Actually, there are, and we've worked with quite a few who have seen the value in it, and it's kind of cool to work with law enforcement from that perspective
Hmm.
because they get it. It's sort of the natural mindset of the investigator, of the detective, when they start to see that ability to do remote collections, and they can push the responder out over the, they can send out a link by an email. Frankly,
Wow.
all the user has to do is simply install the responder, and it gives them access to go in and pull the relevant data. So now think about it when you were doing these cases and you had a missing child, but the house might have been 3-4 hours away. You have to send somebody to the house, pull the hard drive, image it, bring it back, start doing the analysis. That's all critical time in a missing persons case, especially for a child or
Oh
juvenile.
boy. You
Now think of
betcha.
it, you can start pulling that data back over the wire really quickly, and you don't need the whole disk image. You need the artifacts, the most recent communications. You need the most recent, mapping or anything like that, browser history, chat history, that type of thing. Pull it all back, start to make those identifications, and you're that much further ahead in your investigation. Other conversely, it could be a corporation, that ended up breached, that they ended up calling law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't necessarily have to go out and start pulling hard drives. The IT department can install the responder, allow them to start collecting the relevant information, conduct the investigation, identify the suspects, and be able to help them mitigate the damages very quickly.
Man, that makes it really easy, especially when, man, because usually that person that was going out those several hours was me. I was,
Me too. Me too.
yeah, we had a really small team of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's if it's you're looking at that type of installation, you can train just about anyone on that. I mean,
Yes.
even the drug guys, right?
Yep. Yep. Even
We can make fun
I
of us.
was
We were
one of
both
those
drug
guys.
guys.
Come on. But actually, I remember vividly. I was, my kids were small at the time, and I had gone to one of their soccer games or something. I got a call that, a child went missing up in Sussex County, and if you're familiar with New Jersey,
Hmm.
it's one of the most northern points, and you wouldn't think of Jersey as being that big, but it was still a 2-hour ride, even by troop car. And, the boss calls me and says, "You got to go. You're the closest guy." So I said, "All right, but I got to take the kids home, switch cars, and head up because you aren't allowed to drive the troop car if you weren't on on duty." So went home, got the troop car, and the next day he said, "Yeah, you know what? We're going to get you, authorization. You just need to take the car. You need to be in the car wherever you go because we end up deploying you all the time," which is a blessing and a curse at the same time because
Right.
you don't really have an excuse not to go. But as you know, from people that work the child exploitation cases and that type of thing, everybody, everybody was all hands on deck with those cases. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, I tell you what, if anything that can save time in those types of scenarios is something I'd be interested in looking at a little bit closer. Now, you talked, and I thought you had done a webinar with us, and Megan just corrected me here in Slack. It's hoping I was trying to hide the little dinging noises the thing was making. It wouldn't shut up. I can't make it silent. But you actually talked at our conference last December. That's what it was. I just
that's what
remember,
yeah.
and I just remembered
Yeah.
what it was. And she refreshed me of that. I'm like, oh, it was at Cyber Social Con in December that you spoke about it. I don't know. We might have those recordings somewhere. I'll see if we can dig them up and push it up online where someone can watch it. If not, though, I know for a fact you have another talk coming up because we talked pre-show about it. Number one, and then number two, I was looking at the schedule and I saw you on the schedule at Techno Security, something I kind of opened the show with.
Yeah.
What's your talk there?
Well, a mutual friend of ours, Dr. Cal Loper from Sideris, and I are doing a presentation at Techno Security on Tuesday, June 4th at 11:30 on cyber incident response and root cause versus sufficient cause versus likely cause. And essentially what we're going to delve into is the importance of understanding the root cause of these events and not just settling for, sufficient cause or likely cause. Because while it's a balance again, and almost like the utilization. Bosses want to know exactly what happened, and a lot of times that's going to be a very time-consuming effort. However, if you've got the right tools, you can get to that, and you need the right tools to ensure you don't settle for this is probably what happened, or this is sufficient explanation for it, or that type of thing, because of the advanced persistence threat, or those threats that may lie dormant in a system, or even a vulnerability that was unpatched and it couldn't have, maybe wasn't a intentional act. It was simply an oversight that can still be exploited. So it's understanding that those vulnerabilities, those threats, those points of exploitation, resolving them and securing the network. So it's really understanding the critical nature of this beyond resolving the incident, understanding the cause to prevent it not only from happening to you again, but helping share that information with others to help them avoid becoming victimized by these exploits.
Right. I want to ask you a little bit more about a use case there in just a second, but I want to make sure before I forget to mention that it's like if you're going to be down at Techno Security, I'm going to actually pop into this just because I know you and Cal. I mean, we've known each other for a number of years. And it's funny, I try not to, he hates it when I tell this story, actually, so I don't know if I will or not. He's in a more professional environment than I am. So I try not to give everybody's dirt up too much. It's good to have it on people because then I can get them on the show. Right, Bob? That's why. No, yeah. Anyway, I'm kidding. But Tuesday at 11:30. So if you're going to be down at Techno, Tuesday, 11:30 and Salon E. Make sure you guys check that out if you're going to be down at Techno Security. Now, it's funny when I see you two on the showroom floor, you guys always, maybe it's just me or I know you guys, and it always looks like you guys are up to something when you're creeping around the showroom floors looking for, you guys are mischievous. I'll just leave it at that. And that's why I think anyone who's there at the show, if you get a chance to go talk to Bob or Cal for that matter, Cal has got this awesome talent, which he'll probably kill me later for it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. He has the ability to talk to somebody and insult them without them even realizing it. He's really good at that, and they'll actually be nodding their head and they don't realize that they're being insulted. It's pretty. I know because he does it to me all the time. That's the only reason. My wife will be going, "Hey, you know what he's?" I'm like, "Dang it!" So he is great. So that'll be a fun talk. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we spoke last year at Techno together. We'd done a presentation, and it worked out really well. So we decided, it's great to have more than one speaker as well, because you kind of get a different perspective in that session, and you can work off each other. Again, Cal's got a ton of experience as a DFIR leader, and I had done that job and now moved into more the vendor portion, or the solutions architect. So I help those incident responders and digital forensic examiners configure their systems, optimize them, and then also help them build out those workflows that are going to be the most valuable for them to get to the results as quickly as possible.
Yep. And we were actually at Access Data at the same time. Now, we never actually worked together. It was a pretty big company, but
yeah, it was. And interestingly, professional services was almost its own island, really.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where we were so busy. We just had people flying all over the place all the time. So
not nonstop. It's a big world, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the talk topic and any use case there. What do you have an example of? Why? I want to get to the why a little bit, because I know a lot of our listeners are more. And if they're like me, I have no shame in admitting it. I am not an incident response guy. That wasn't ever my forte. And I think some people get maybe a little intimidated if all they do is forensics, if they're using, the typical standard forensic suite tools, and maybe they're a little nervous about the whole moving into the incident response type thing, even though, and I want you, because I know you're skilled to be able to do it, kind of bring those two together for folks. without putting you right on the spot like I just did.
No, but I will correct you on this because you've sold yourself short. Through your career in law enforcement, every time you got the call on the radio, it was an incident and you were responding.
Okay, fair enough. There you go.
We're an incident responder, whether you realize it or not. But those skills, and I've always said that those skills have helped me get to where I am now because you build on those. And so now, if you think about the skills that the traditional digital forensic examiner has, they're learning on every single job. At least I know that was the case that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were cookie cutter. None of them were routine. Nothing was assembly line production, out the door and write the report. You learn something in every one of these cases, and you take that knowledge with you. Now you're looking at it in a proactive state. You're going after the incident before you actually have the reactive, the forensic image that you're starting to do the post mortem, so to speak, or the dead box forensics. You're going out proactively looking in these certain areas because from your reactive career, your reactive work, you knew where you found these vulnerabilities or these, this compromise or this exploit or this malware. Now you can take that and go look for it in these new systems and see where you might find it. The other big advantage, and I love this about Binalize there, when we find this malware or suspected malware, or we could even find known malware and go scan systems for the hash value and see, does it reside anywhere in the environment? That's part of the proactive threat hunting through our triage capability, and find, does it exist out there? This is where the value comes in, because if you identify it before it becomes an exploit, before it's executed and does damage, you can kill it. You can, cyber kill chain, basically. Find it, kill it before it becomes damage, and then you've secured the network. Ironically, it's almost like the police officer who happens to be, running radar or sitting, in a strategic location that causes traffic to slow down. You never know what accidents you prevented or what damage you might have prevented or what. You just know that because they're there and because you took those actions, you prevented damage from happening. You'll never know how much damage you prevented. Right. You just know that without you, likelihood is, something tragic could have happened there. So it's like a trooper, a very good friend of mine had said, you don't get paid for what you do, you get paid for what you might have to do, kind of thing. So it's one of those situations where you're taking that field of knowledge that you've gained as a traditional forensic examiner and applying it to a proactive approach. The other thing that I think is really important is that transition into this field. The natural, inquisitiveness is a huge advantage for incident responders and investigators because they want to get to the bottom of it. The caveat is that the other side is how to know when to stop. And that's one of the things that, proactive threat hunting tells you. You run your scans across all the networks and it doesn't come up with anything else. You've mitigated it, run the scan, and it comes up empty. Now you kind of have an idea, okay, I'm good. But with absent that capability, you never know if you found everything.
Right. That's absolute fact. Absolute fact. I think you explained that very well. I mean, even I understood that. So that's, you set the bar low enough. When if I get it, you're good. 100%. So that's awesome.
Being seasoned.
What's that? Sorry.
Just comes from being seasoned.
I like the word seasoned. That works good. Now you guys are going to have a booth down at Techno. I think I was checking that out earlier today.
Yep.
So I don't know the booth number offhand, but I think the shows are small enough that you can find you. Just walk up a couple hours. Oh, there's Bob. Are you going to be hanging out the booth at all?
I will be. I'll be at the booth doing demos, probably for the entire conference, except with the exception of my speaking session. You can find me at the booth, and candidly, I think all you have to do is ask a couple people, and somebody's bound to be able to point you in my direction.
Watch for you and Calgon down the alley looking like in the side-eye people and like, what are we going to do to them today? In all fairness, the two are ornery, I'll tell you guys right now, but it's because you've been in the industry, you know everybody. And it's like when we walking around the shows, it's like a little family reunion every year, and I always look forward to the shows because we don't get to see each other throughout there because you're down in where it's warm, and I'm in the opposite. What I call truly hell is where it's cold a lot of times. So yeah,
as I said, you get to experience the seasons, so you have that huge advantage over the rest of us.
Yeah. And like I told you earlier, that's Florida's way of saying that it gets damn cold up there, and I pity you. That's it's like saying or bless them or something like that. What do the people in the South say?
Bless your heart.
Yes, bless your heart. That's it. that's Florida's version of it to us people who freeze up here in Northern Ohio. You get to experience the seasons. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I'm always looking for the glass half full. Looking for the positive spin.
Right. It actually warmed up here. I'm happy. Like it's Anyway, it's not that great. It's only 70. It's like at least it's at 70 because anything below that I consider cold. Why I'm still in Northern Ohio, I don't know. Literally, throw a stone. We're in Canada for that most part. That's the way it is. I forgot to open this up for you guys on the floor, and I'm totally sorry. If you guys want to ask a question for Bob, he can answer a wide range of things. Trust me, I know him. He can. And so anything from, the cyber incident response, anything that we've talked about, or really go off topic, make sure you throw it down if you're on YouTube. I think we can see Facebook. I'm pretty sure we can see Twitter as well. LinkedIn, again, out of luck. I'm sorry. Jump over one of the other channels. And we can broadcast out to you. But if you leave it in the comments afterwards, I'll make sure Bob has the links. He can go and try to answer those questions. Or you can come into Cyber Social Hub and ask him as well. I'll make sure he gets those, or drag him into the hub as a member. Are you a member in the hub?
Yes, I am. Of course I am.
You can find Bob right in there, and ask him right inside of Cyber Social Hub because Finalize is a sponsor inside the hub. You'll find him all over the place in there, so you're able to track him down quite a bit. So anyway, there's how to ask Bob a question. I'll leave that open. We're on like a 15-second delay, which is really weird. In case I start going off, I guess I can beat myself. But
good skill, good capability.
Yeah. I always forget to beep anyway. I say all kinds of. I'm like, oh no. I'll see it in post, and I'm like, well, it's a little too late. Too late for that. Oh wait. Looky there. There's trouble in the chat already. I can see it. There's Manny.
No, Manny. Here's the thing. Only commit one crime at a time. You're much less likely to get caught for either of them if you're only committing one at a time. And actually, I can't take credit for that. That was my good friend, Randy Becker, a retired Oregon State Trooper, gave me that wise advice.
There's some backstory I'm missing there. Manny knows something that you're leaving out, doesn't he?
No, it was it was just one of those stories where, the typical. I worked an interdiction unit at the New Jersey State Police in narcotics, and we would pull people over for speeding and find that they had money laundering or drugs or whatever in there, or the broken taillight or the traffic violation, and it would lead to an arrest for CDS, CDW, controlled dangerous substance, controlled dangerous weapon, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I had shared that piece of information with Manny. And only commit one crime at a time, and you're less likely to get caught.
That is actually very good advice. That's funny. I know if you're not been in law enforcement, you may not get that one as much, but it's true because one thing always leads to another, man. Always.
Yeah.
Because when I was on patrol, that was I'd see them coming out of known drug areas, right? And And I'd be like, oh, and sure enough, there's always a traffic violation. No one knows every traffic rule. It's impossible to know every traffic rule. And you'd always get them on something, and then obviously find the drugs that we were looking for in there from the main stop. So that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Yeah. So what else you been up to? What else you got going on coming up? Anything interesting besides the warm weather? And what temperature did you say it was down there?
89. 89.
All right. Yeah.
Comfortable.
What else you got going? I don't want to hear any weather anymore. Dang it.
Well, actually, I do have a interesting story from early in my career. 1999, a couple years after we had started the high tech crime unit.
Uh-huh.
Some of you may remember the Melissa macro virus, and if you don't, go check it out. But it was the first self-replicating Trojan worm virus that mailed itself to the first 50 people in
Yeah.
the recipient's Outlook contact list.
I taught that in
And
ancient history of how computer
yes,
crimes got started. Yeah.
well, we got the tip on that. And ironically, I was testifying in what I thought was going to be the biggest case of my career, which was the Pedo U case. And I was testifying in trial on that one.
Yeah.
And my phone started blowing up, and I was getting all the information, related to it. So we started the investigation. We ironically identified the suspect in probably 72 hours. I had the warrants already signed and everything else. And ironically, when we executed the warrant on his apartment, he wasn't there. We knew that he had vacated because we had surveillance on it. But a neighbor had told us that he left on a Sunday night. He wasn't driving his normal car. He was driving a black Ford Probe, and she remembered the first three numbers on the license plate. So, we secured all the evidence we could out of the apartment. Went back and started checking DMV for, the matching plate on a Ford Probe, and it turned out his brother lived about 5 miles away. Sent a couple detectives there. One of the things that the neighbor had told us was that he took his cats, and that the cats were in the cages, and he loved those cats, and he never left them alone, kind of thing. So, two detectives go to the brother's apartment. They see the cats running around in the two cages there, and they report back to me. So I write a new warrant for the brother's apartment and use the cats as my probable cause. And the deputy attorney general that was that was reviewing all the affidavits said, you can't use cats as probable cause. They said, well, let's let the judge decide. So I take it to the judge. Judge reads through the boilerplate, gets to the probable cause, sees that the cats are at the brothers, and he says, the cats are at the brothers? I said, yes, sir. He flips to the back page and signs off on it. Execute, and sure enough, there he is. We arrest him. He gave the whole thing up. He was the first virus writer to go to jail and actually pay a monetary fine. Yeah.
I had no idea you were on that case. That's so funny.
I was lead detective, and I was the guy that put David Smith in handcuffs.
Yeah, no kidding. That's freaking awesome. I've taught probably that knowledge, because I taught at university for many years, and man, I've taught that a million. I had no idea. It's like I knew the guy that put him in handcuffs. Look at that. Dude, I learned something I did not know about you. That's pretty awesome.
I still have a copy of the probable cause that I used, and it was so funny because, it was one of those things where you use what you can. Again, going back to the basic knowledge, the accumulation of knowledge that you get throughout your career, and start to apply it. And that's, kind of tore a page out of my experience in narcotics, and finding, a sufficient probable cause, to justify the application for the warrant. So that was one of those things that I look back on that, and I think, in today's dollars, that would have been in the billions, but it was $80 million in damages and shut down email servers all over the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of the initial suspects, suspicion was that it was a state-sponsored act and that kind of thing. It just turned out it was a guy in Jersey.
Some random dude in Jersey. It's like, I wonder if we can do this. Well, that's funny. I have a question here. It's more, I think, featured towards Binalize than anything else. I'm going to go ahead and push that up on the screen there. There we go. So Curtis, he's got an interesting background too. I've learned a little bit about him through some of emails back and forth. But he mentions that the timelines are pretty incredible. His question is, what are the export options? Are there reports, presentations in court, etc.?
Curtis, I love this question. It is an incredible tool, and having tested a ton of tools and owned quite a few of them, this is probably the most impressive that I've seen in a long time. And the reporting capability is always getting better. But even as it stands right now, you have the option to generate a report, include not only your timeline, your shell activity when you interact with the endpoint. You can include all of those findings, the volatility stuff, and you can build out that report and push it into a PDF. The advantage is at any time you can go back into your production version, make your modifications, make your changes as you go through. Let's face it, we've all had that situation where you turn it into your boss and he redlines it, or he makes a note and says, no, change this or do that. You've got the basic one. You can always go back to it, that version, make the changes, make the updates, and then produce it again in PDF. So we have some really cool reporting capability, and I'm happy to show it to you. Reach out for me, reach out to, through Kevin. However, I'm happy to do a demo for you and show you the capabilities.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. And he says, hold on, I'm trying to follow up on a couple other questions here because I know we're getting close to time here. Can you believe that? Hour gone by. Bam, just like that. Says, use what you can is incredible advice. Hopelessly the cats as probable cause. That was unique. Yeah, it is. That's one of the funnier stories I've heard. For sure. And okay, yeah, that seems to be all of the questions for the moment. Man, I am looking forward, Bob, to seeing you in just, it's really a couple weeks away. I don't have my calendar right in front of me, but I think it's the first week of June, right?
Yeah, first week of June.
Yeah, it's when Techno is. And we're at Wilmington. This is the second year down in Wilmington. Usually it used to be at Myrtle Beach. I kind of like Wilmington. It's different. I do like the beach as well, so it makes it. I'm torn. I'm really torn. What do you think about either one?
I'm thinking of having a story hour at the bar, after hours, if you're interested in joining.
There you go. They got some pretty cool stuff planned this year. I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to. I think Jen talked about it a couple weeks ago, so I know we can talk about it. They got this outdoor cornhole games, all kinds of stuff going on. Outdoor barbecue. I'm looking forward to that. I love me some barbecue. Yeah. Did you go ahead?
To answer Curtis's question,
nope.
Yeah, on the Finalize website, there is a request a trial. My colleague Craig and I monitor those. We set up the free trials. They're generally 14 days, but there are machines already loaded into that environment that you'll have for a demo, free demo, fully functional. And you can also deploy out to up to 50 assets of your own. So you can start looking at those.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make sure I post that in chat there so everyone has it too. So there it is. It's in chat, and it should be clickable on most of the networks as we respond back. Like I said, some of the networks, like LinkedIn, we can't respond with that. Just binalize.com, BINALYZE.com. Head on over there, and you can't miss the big light blue free trial button sitting there. Now, you worked. Were you and Craig at Access State at the same time? You guys
ironically, we were.
Yeah,
we were.
That's beginning to be like what's that? The term they always use, 7 steps to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Ironically, we were both at Nuix at the same time too.
That's right. You were. I forgot he was over there for a brief moment too. Yeah, well, I guess he was over there for a few years. That's why I talk to him all the time over there. That's phenomenal. The industry's small, and that's what I really like about it. You just get to know everybody. It's a family and a community. And man, if you get stuck on something, it's easy to. I can call somebody up and I'll say, "Hey, Bob, what do I do here, man? I need some help." And it's just someone's right there to give you some help. It's such a great great community.
Curtis, I look forward to you trying it out and helping you any way I can. Let me know. You can get in touch with me at robert.o'leary@finalize.com.
There you go. I won't put your email in text on the internet, so you may get some 2 a.m. people interested in something else. So the internet is a weird place. Here we go. It's 8 steps to Bob O'Leary if you add cats as step 1. Yeah. Oh, perfect, Bob. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Again, binalize.com if you guys want to learn more about the product that we talked about. Hopefully, you guys get to see Bob talk at Techno Security and his talk that's coming up there on Tuesday. I think I said 11 a.m., right? I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
11:30, yeah.
I minimized my note, and then trying to do it from memory is failing me when I'm getting your age.
11:30. So
yeah,
we'll
perfect.
Be there.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check it out. Bob, don't go anywhere. Stay right here. Thanks so much, you guys. If you get a chance, make sure you hit my daughter's always telling me, like and subscribe, right? No, just hit the thumbs up. It really helps our algorithm and get the message out to more digital investigators to help them out. So if you want to kick a thumbs up out there, or a like, whatever platform that you're on and whichever corner that it happens to be in there as well. If you're on YouTube or any of the other ones, if you're able to subscribe to the channel, please do that as well. And then finally, there's a little bell on YouTube specifically. You'll see the little outline of a bell. That's how you can get notifications when we go live, especially because we're going to be live at Techno Security. I'm going to try to drag Bob back on the show and see how his talk went. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And that way you'll be able to hear and get notification to your browser when we go live. And you can just turn it off if we annoy you too much as well. So that's just kind of the way it works, which we try not to do that. But again, Bob, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and coming on and hanging out with us.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity.
And no problem. Everyone else, we will see you next week, probably at 2 o'clock. Thanks again, Bob. Take care.
Take care.